So this is made with a DK weight. I've just used scrap yarns for this. I have got more of it than this, but this was left over from a project. So I've only got 3 colours in this particular sample, but you can use whatever you like, however many colours you like, and you can do what you want with it basically once you've learned how to do it. So yes, as I said, it's a DK weight, which is a 3 weight in the US. You can use any yarn you want, as long as you make sure then that you use the corresponding crochet hook size. And I'm using a 4.5 millimeter crochet hook. This is a Clover & More, and I'm trialing these at the moment, and I really do need to start using different sizes because I've been using a 4.5 for way too long now, and as you all probably know, it is my favourite size. So I'm just going to measure this for you. Let's put my specs on. Helps to be able to see things, numbers and stuff. So let's have a look. So the width of it, total width, is around 6 inches. That will be all the way around. So that just give you a rough idea. Now, if you wanted to, you could make it so that it's just this size and put a little just double crochet UK, which is a single crochet in the US, around here, and use it as a coaster. But I've just decided to bring those colours out. And of course you can just go further, just carry on, make it as big as you want, or if you wanted to make a blanket, you just make as many as you want. So I'm going to show you how to do this then, and for the first colour I'm using this peach. This is just pound yarn, so it's not expensive or anything, but I've got quite a lot of scrap colours left, and I did write the pattern down as I was inventing it. It's not really for everybody else's consumption, but it just reminds me how I do it. So first off, I'm going to make a slip knot. Now you can do that however you like to make your slip knots. I'm just going to do it with my hook, which is how I usually do it, unless I'm teaching someone how to do it. So now I'm going to do a chain of 6. You can do 5, but there's rather a lot going into this centre ring. I'm just going to join with a slip stitch to my first chain, so I've got my centre ring. Now I'm going to chain 2, and that's to get me up to the height of my first stitch, and I'm going to do 2 treble crochets, which is a UK term, or double crochet in the US. So I'm going to do that into the centre of the ring. Now this tutorial, I'm not aiming at absolute beginner. If you wanted to know how to do these stitches, I do have tutorials in my absolute beginners and my stitch tutorial playlists. So this just assumes you already know how to do those. So now I've got my 2 stitches and my 2 chain, that counts as 3. So I'm going to do 1 chain. I've pulled it over slightly because I have to get 6 clusters in here. So I'm going to do my next cluster of 3. And 1 chain. And I'm going to do that another 4 times because, as I said, I want to have 4 clusters. So I'm just going to bash on with that. With this particular one here, I did 5 chain in the centre, so I expect my hole to be slightly larger this time around. I'm kind of just seeing if that made a difference with the puckering a little bit, but I've got a feeling it might make it worse. But we'll see. We'll see as I get round. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to pull them aside, so I need to get another 2 groups of 3 in there. If I go ahead of you, then just pause me and catch up. Okay, so this is my last. I'll just count it to make sure. I don't want to mess up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I'm going to end with a chain, and I'm going to slip stitch into my first stitch here. Don't think I'm going to get, oh yes I am, can get through it that way. Join with a slip stitch, and I'm going to end off that colour. Grab my scissors and I'm going to just do a chain, cinch it down and pull it out. So now I've ended off that first round. So I started with my lighter blue, so I'm going to grab that now. This one I believe was an Aldi yarn from the Aldi colour pack that I got from when they had their yarn event. It's a lovely soft DK, but I have got quite a bit of it, but it's still just the end of one of my balls. So this next round is we're going to join it to any of our chain spaces. So I'm going to choose over the other side to my tail so that I don't have to work over two tails at once. Right, so I'm just reading my own writing. So I'm joining in here, and now I've got to make this particular round. So I'm just going to join by putting a loop through and doing my first chain with my working yarn and my tail, and then my next chain just takes me up to the right height. Then I drop that tail and I'm going to work over it. So I'm going to do 2 more treble crochets, which obviously remember is the UK term. US it's a double, 1 chain and another 3 in the same space, like if I were making a corner of a granny square. And I did think of maybe dropping this down to just 2 and 2 to stop it from bunching, but I don't think it would look quite as nice. I'm just going to pause the video a second so I have to sneeze. Oh, sorry about that. It's a good job I paused it, and then I blew my head off and it steamed up my glasses at the same time. It's quite forceful. If I have to do it again, you know, sometimes they come in like a little wave of sneezes, and I'm hoping that's the end of it. So now in the next space, the next chain space, I'm doing the same again. So that's 3, 1 chain and 3, and I'm going to do that in each of my chain spaces until I've gone all the way around. Every single space, every single chain space between my 3, I'm going to do the same. And this is why it gets a little bit crowded, I think. And this time I'm just going to pull that yarn over there and I'm going to work over it just to get rid of it. You want it to face that way anyway, so I'm just working over it. And that hides it nicely. So there we go, it's already taken on a hexagon shape. I've got 2 more to do, so I'm just going to pause the video and do those and come back to you. I've made it all the way around, and I'm just going to join to my top chain with a slip stitch, and then grab my scissors and again end off that colour. And that's the end of that round. So this round gets a little bit different. It's kind of pretty. Bear with me a second, it's getting really warm in here now. I'm going to get my darker blue, pull out some yarn, and I'm going to join this to any of my chain spaces again. So I'm going to choose the opposite end, and I'm going to join it into this particular chain space here. And I'm going to join it the same way, bringing a loop through, doing 1 chain using my tail and my working yarn. Drop that tail, it's tangled over, and do my next chain. Actually that went a bit tight, there we are, it's a little bit shorter than I'd like. So I'm going to do 1 more treble crochet this time. No, I'm not. I'm going to do, sorry, I'm going to do them again. I don't like the fact that that is quite short, so I'm going to remedy that. So I'm just going to do my first chain, drop that, my second chain. Now I changed this, that's why I got a bit confused there. My corners are just 1 treble and then 1 chain, so I'm going to do another chain, and I'm going to do 1 more treble crochet in that space. So I've got a kind of like a V stitch in there, and then I'm going to do 1 treble crochet in each of the next 6 stitches. So that's in each of these. Remember to go into the very first one. I'm going to work over the tail because I forgot about that. I can get it out the way. Just 1 in each. Now at the corner again, so I'm going to do my one chain and another one, so my V stitch in that corner, and again 1 in the next 6, so remember to go into the first one. All the way to the next corner. Oh, there it is. It wasn't a very big chain. So I'm going to do my one chain and my second in that corner. So if I take that out, that's how it's how we're going to proceed. We're going to just do 6 in our sides, 1 treble crochet UK, double crochet US, and 1 chain to make a V stitch and do another. So I'm going to carry on doing that all the way around. I'm going to work over this tail at the same time, and I'm going to meet up with you when I get back to this corner. So I've made it all the way around. I've got 1 more to do, and now I'm going to join with a slip stitch, and I'm going to end off that colour. I find it cleaner in this hexagon to end off the colours all together rather than try to slip stitch and join them. It's just a bit cleaner. So okay, now it's not as puckering as much as my first one did, so perhaps having that extra chain, that 6th one in the centre, has helped a bit. So I'm getting rid of those tails just to get rid of the confusion. Now I'm going to get the original colour, which was this peach one, and I'm going to join that to any of my corners. So this time I'm not going to be doing a large stitch, so I'm just going to tie it so that it's not a big join, and I don't have two the thickness of 2. I only got the 1. So I'm just pulling that up, doing a very small chain. Now I'm going to do a double crochet, 1 chain, whoopsie, and a double crochet, and that's the UK double, which is a US single crochet. So what I'm doing is this particular round here, and that first one I do a little bit differently, and I'll show you why when I get to the end. So now just need to read my okay, so I've undone that. I made a bit of a mistake there. So in each corner I'm doing 3 UK doubles, that's US single crochet. So that's now 3 in there, and I'm going to do 1 double crochet or single crochet US in the next 4. So I want to get to here, so I'm going to do 1 here in that very first one, which this does tend to hide a little bit, so you might want to pull it back. So that's 1, 2, 3 and 4. So now we're in the center, and what we're going to do is yarn over and go all the way down to this row and bring up our yarn. So yarn over and pull up, and then we're going to complete a treble crochet. That's the tail, move it out of the way. So I'm going to pull that aside, and I'm going to go into that stitch behind it and do another 4. So that's 1, 2, 3 and 4. I'll show you again, don't worry. And then I'm going to do 3 in my corner. And now I'm going to remove that tail so that you can see exactly what I'm doing. And I'll zoom in a little as well. So pull that aside because this is our first stitch. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3 and 4. So I've done 1 in each of the next 4. I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to drop all the way to that row where there's that space. I'm going to yarn over and pull up, and then complete my treble crochet, which is a UK treble, a US double. I'm going to pull it aside, and there's my stitch. So I'm going to do my UK double, US single in there, and that's 1, 2, 3 and 4, and that takes me back to the corner. So that's what I'm doing in each one. So I'm going to do that all over again. So I'm doing 3 in my corner. I'll stay with you. It's a more difficult round. And pull that aside. There's my first stitch, my number 1, 2, pull some yarn, 3 and 4. So again, I'm going to do this long stitch by yarning over, going into that row there and pulling up and completing my treble crochet, which is UK treble, so it's US double. I'm going to pull aside, and behind this long part is my stitch. That's 1, 2, 3 and 4. So just got to be careful because that's where I've ended off, so it won't look normal. So there's my 4th. I'm going to make that tail go behind. So now I'm at my corner. I'm going to do 3 in my corner. There we are, see, and that's what we're doing. See, it's starting to buckle a little bit, and that's what I mean, it does, but you can flatten it out. So I'm just going to carry on all the way around doing 4 and making sure I pull it aside and going in my first one. When I get to this one here, I'm going to do my long stitch where I drop down and I just pull up and then complete my stitch, which is a UK treble or a US double. Then I pull that aside and get my first one and go into the next 4 and do my corner. I'm going to do that in the next lot around, and I'll catch up with you when I get back to here. Okay, so I've got my last one to do, and then all I have to do is slip stitch into my first stitch and end off. And move that yarn. Finished with that one now. Cinch it down. See, now you can see it's puckered a little bit now because we've got all these stitches. So I'm now going to try and thin that out just a little bit, and I'm going to get my very first colour, which was this blue colour of the lighter blue. So I'm just going to join that, and we're going to join this in the corner. So I'm going to leave that one right down there. Don't want to work over 2. So I'm going to join it at the very corner, which is the middle of our 3. So I'm just going to insert and join it with a little knot because it's a small stitch, as I said before. So in this one, I've got to get my yarn back in, a hook back in there now. Now in here, I'm just going to do, just going to get my loop. So I'm going to do a double crochet. I'll show you the round that we're doing now. We're doing this one. So it's this round here. So now I've done my UK double, which is a US single. I'm going to chain 2. And I'm going to skip 2. And I'm going to go into this one and do another UK double. Chain 2. And then into my centre stitch, which is in line with here, I'm going to do another chain 2. And so then we're going to go skip 2 and go into here. So we're going in the middle. We're going into the middle and we're going into the long stitch. And then we're going to go into the top of our chain. And we're going to chain 1. Now we're going to carry on. Bear with me, let me just read my... No, it's carry on. Exactly round. Chain 2. Go into the middle. Chain 2. And go into that one there. Chain 2. Skip 2. Into our middle stitch. Chain 2. Into the top of our corner. Chain 2. Skip 2 into the middle. Chain 2 into where we meet of our long stitch. Chain 2. Again, skip 2 and into the middle of our section. Chain 2 into the top of our corner. And so we're going to do that all the way around. Chain 2, skip 2, chain 2 into our long stitch. Chain 2, skip 2 and into this part here. So there's 1, 2, we're into this stitch. The join made it look a little odd. So skip 2 into our corner. I'm just going to do that all the way around. And so I'm going to pause the video, carry on, and I'll meet up with you again when we get to this point. Okay, so now I've got my last 2 chain and I'm going to slip stitch into this, if I can get it in there, and end off my colour. Just cinch that down and pull it through. And we've got one more round to do, one more colour. Just going to move that yarn out of the way and get my darker blue. Now this is the last round that I'm going to do, but of course if you wanted to carry on, then you could. So I'm going to join this in any of my spaces. So just going to join it, whoopsie, get hold of the end. I'm just going to join it by tying it in because I'm going to be doing smaller stitches. So I'm going to pull my yarn through and make a small chain. I'm going to work over this tail and I'm going to do 3 UK double crochets in each of my spaces. That's a US single crochet. Just pull it along slightly. So that's 3. Now I'm going to do 1 chain and then I'm going to do 3 in this section. And I'm going to do 1 chain and 3 in this section, all the way around. And just carry on until we get all the way to the other side. And that's enough to get you around your corners. So we're still going along one side at the moment, and then We're going to just keep going, mirroring all the way around. And see, that looks kind of cool. It's coming up nicely all the way around the edge, doing the same in every single section until we get to our start. So I'm going to pause the video and I'll catch up with you when we get to this point. Okay, so I've made it all the way around and just going to slip stitch into that top and end off. There we are. So this one has puckered quite a bit, whereas the other one wasn't quite so much. But if you block it, or if you just tease it into shape, then it does keep its shape. I've got a feeling that I might have done this one slightly differently. So I think when I did this last round, I only did my chain over my corners, but I've done a chain in between every single one of them. It still works out because it's actually the right stitch count, but this one got pulled together a little bit more because on this last round I didn't do a chain over these bits at the side, only in the corners. So that might have actually worked out a little bit better. They still kind of both work. It's just that this one does have a higher stitch count because of those chain spaces, but they still work out. And still, you'd still just maybe have to block it slightly. But I'd kind of thought that I'd gone in between each one of my posts with a chain, but looking at this one, I don't think I did that. It still does work out. It's still hexagons, but I think I might prefer it without. So that last round, if you prefer, you can just go back, frog that, and just instead of doing a chain in between the sides, you can just carry on doing 3, 3, 3, and just do your chain when you get to the corner. If you think that looks a little bit better. There's not a great deal of difference, to be honest, in the way it looks, but I think it does help to keep it flatter doing it that way. But I'll leave it up to you. You can do whichever you want. So thanks so much for watching. I haven't got a name for it, so if you wanted to help me with that, then by all means pop a little suggestion. In fact, they both pucker exactly the same, so I just think it really makes a great deal of difference. Just slightly better looking, I think, without the chains. So thanks for watching. Until next time, bye bye for now.